Hi guys, Milo here, and today we are playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe with Joe once again. So let's get started.
Hi. Can't even say hi. Great.
Sorry. You can say hi.
Hi. The end is never the end. Is
It's
never the end.
Is never the end.
Why is it taking so long to load?
I don't know.
Game. There we go.
This is the
Oh, it's laggy.
1 second.
Do you know what the problem is?
Okay, we should be fine now. Or
Nope.
not.
all of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Why is it so
decided to go to
laggy?
the meeting room.
I don't
Perhaps
know.
he had simply missed a memo. Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket
We go into the settings. Lower the graphics. Go to video.
What?
Milo.
in his arms again, he was home.
Why is it?
I fixed the problem. So we will not
Did you?
have it turned off a closed video tube. So we're not gonna have, we will be unable to have our little characters.
That's fine, but
They were there for like,
still here?
yeah, I already unpaused the video. They were there for like 5 seconds.
Office was where he'd find answers.
Okay. So we went into technical difficulties. Stanley Parable
I've got a
hated
second
the
sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works
What the
because the
I
sticker
got a second
is
sticker.
also a bucket. That
And I'm going to put that back up. But, okay, this. Hang on. I need to turn up my volume on this game a bit. I cannot hear it.
Neither can I.
way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing
There
you're
we go, now I
holding
can hear
is
it.
a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, "Ah, it's a bucket." There really
Hey,
is
a
a wide
bucket.
variety of applications for this sticker. You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I said what was it ending?
The countdown. But that's, yeah, I know.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of
I always
any
forget what
human
the code
life.
is.
Crushed by the weight of this revelation,
1,
Stanley
5, 4,
may have
7.
broken down into an emotional dumpster fire, if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the
4,
bucket's
7.
warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him
Was it
always.
1, 5, 4, 6?
The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the pin number for the keypad was 2845.
Oh. 2, 2, 8, 4.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
And down we go.
Why the bucket in?
What?
The
Why
elevator
they're
raced
bucketing
downward,
is so
plummeting
confusing.
towards an unknown fate.
I mean, one of them we
It would
murdered
be
the
all
bucket,
Stanley
and
could
for
do
whatever
to keep
reason,
himself
a metal
together,
bucket
if not
has
for the
blood.
bucket.
So there's that.
Soothing him, comforting him,
When did this
reassuring
happen?
that in this darkest moment of uncertainty,
Go
he would
watch.
be all right.
Go pull up
The
the
bucket is here for you, Stanley.
part 5,
Everything will be fine.
and it's near the end. Because it took
I'll do
like
that later.
40
Stanley and the
minutes
bucket
to get
walked straight ahead
past
through the large door that read,
the just going through the
Mind
new
Control
content area.
Facility.
You know what? We're actually gonna go ahead and just. No, come on, come on, come on. Thank you.
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall.
Because yeah, that makes sense.
Now, what to do next, Stanley wondered. Stanley and the bucket could
How does
find
a
no way
metal
out of this
bucket cover
enormous
your
pit,
fall?
and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here, a bit cold perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all.
I kind of liked
He'd
the
never
other one
gotten to
without the
fully
bucket
explore
because
what
the
was
dude
out
seems
there,
you was
never
soft.
been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail.
That's not gonna
All
work.
Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them waited for a very long time.
Got that, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the
Dun,
meeting
dun, dun,
room.
dun,
Perhaps he
dun,
had simply
dun,
missed.
dun, dun.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
Fine.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it the bucket all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Do 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 do.
Floating.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it
I got
that
another
everything
Jolteon
would
card.
be fine.
Nice.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
He is preachy.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds.
Silly birds!
Silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions.
What is happening?
What is
Stanley
happening?
marveled at the metal genius in his hands.
Owls!
The one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery.
I love owls.
Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
That's technically the countdown ending though, because that's how you get the countdown ending.
was way different.
Yeah. The other one, the
All of this
the
code
narrator
was
like yells
gone.
at you until
What
you
could it
go
mean?
boom.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure
What are
together.
the other choices?
What?
What are the other choices you can get?
Endings. I'm going back up to the boss's office because there's
Stanley
still
clutched the
2 more
bucket
endings
tightly to
down
his
in the
chest
micro area.
and entered the door on his left.
Okay.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss... Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers.
But
What's going on?
how do I get the closet ending then?
Coming to a staircase,
Google
Stanley
it.
and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Do 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 do. Okay, which ending do you want to get first? Because there's 2.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
What?
What endings are... What are the 2 endings?
That way or that way?
Left.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
Oh.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
This might not actually be another ending. The bucket might not have changed it.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that
Never
all
mind, it does.
buckets are radiant in their own way,
Yeah.
but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Bucket to behold.
So this is the museum ending.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a...
Okay, hang on. Now I gotta fix my little thingy. I messed it up. Cause so now I have the museum ending. Wait, no, I didn't have my brain's lagging. My brain is lagging.
bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
What was that?
Look, it's a cave drawing of the bucket.
Bruh.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Oh, I can't fall.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements.
Oh, we have gotten
We
have gotten the broom closet ending. All of it is you getting the 2 stickers.
Commander of a new world, a new vision.
Oh. Well, shit.
The only ending we have left on the left side is the freedom ending.
Okay.
So we gotta go get it. Which is once again in the boss's office.
Yep.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps... Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be... Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to
I
his
just keep
chest
cutting off the
and
narrator.
entered the door on his left.
Yep.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
And we got pressed up.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Press another button.
Monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
And then yet another button.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Huh.
But here was the proof.
And now we
The
come
heart
over
of the
here and we'll press
operation.
the final button.
Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and to... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty.
What?
Until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, or go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I?
Okay then.
Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
The end is never the end is never.
Oh,
The
that
end
ending
is
was,
loading.
I don't know.
What?
That ending was, I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah. Called the freedom ending, and we didn't get to be freed. Can
Nope.
it stop giving me the exact same card, please?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to... And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
The end is never the end is loading is never the end.
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Oh! What the?
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because
What
we
indie
care
is
about
this?
you very much. It's this
I don't
bucket
even
you're
know
carrying around
anymore.
everywhere. the bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
What ending is this? I'm
Sure.
Whee! Look at that line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
the line music.
Now this is what the
Oh.
Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you
Aw.
remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
He just wants to destroy the bucket.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley.
I have to
goodbye
destroy the bucket.
and then pop it into the machine
No, I
when you're
think you
ready.
gotta jump in.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The Broom Closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and crush.
Damn.
The Bucket Destroyer. My prized creation. You had
This is
so
the
much
confusion
potential.
ending.
We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
So that happened.
Yep.
The end is never, the end is never, the end is loading never. The end is loading never.
Yep.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Ah, the embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
Now where do we go?
I forgot to do the where's, hang on.
Okay.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was coming to a staircase. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Baby, give me a sec.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
Wait, what? It's never said that before.
The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching. A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed.
Excuse me.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo.
Oh, well, look who's got cold feet. Well, from here, it looks like the only way forward is down, since the lift won't be coming back, but that's okay. You've got a bucket. Did you know that buckets are routinely used as cushioning devices? But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the
Why'd
bucket,
you do that?
his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms.
I don't think I did that
deeply
right.
touching.
Neither do I.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply... It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded on. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it... No, never mind. The bucket
What?
was wrong.
Just, it's
Stanley took the door on
it's
his left
fun getting
to
all the
go
endings,
back
but
to the
it's
meeting
very repetitive lines.
No,
room, said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes.
Oh, well, look who's got cold feet. Well, from here, it looks like the only way forward is down, since the lift won't be coming back, but that's okay. You've got a bucket. Did you know that buckets are routinely used as cushioning devices? It's true. You can fall on a bucket from literally any height and survive.
It's a metal bucket. It's not gonna cushion you.
I'm serious, Stanley. Jump. Jump with the bucket. I promise you'll live. I extra double promise that you can land on the bucket and not die.
What happened?
I don't know what I'm doing, but this is a different ending.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know.
The
I've
fuck?
lost track.
I don't know.
Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it.
This is
Still,
weird.
Haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure?
Don't know.
I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
What is happening?
I do not know.
I didn't like that. I don't like that ending.
That was creepy.
Yep.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility?
Why do I keep going for an ending and ended up with a different ending? No. It's not even... I'm struggling.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others. Stanley cradled the bucket in a gentle embrace, protective yet delicate, assertive yet compact. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes.
Oh, well, look who's got cold feet. Well, from here, it looks like the only way forward is down, since the lift won't be coming back, but that's okay. You've got a bucket. Did you know that buckets are routinely used as cushioning devices? It's true. You can fall on a bucket from literally any height and survive. I'm serious, Stanley. Jump. Jump with the bucket. I promise you'll live. I extra double promise that you can land on the bucket and not die. Whoops. Looks like I was wrong.
There we go. Now I got it. Okay. I jumped too soon
There
the
we
first time.
go, yeah.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Why
Stanley decided
does
to
it
go
do
to the
this?
meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
What the fuck?
Why is it different? I don't understand.
Is it part of it?
I've gotten it like this before. I don't know why it sometimes randomly gives me a different layout in it. I'm not gonna Google the different types of layouts you can end up.
Okay.
So you can end up with a blue office, a short office, a long office, the one we just got, which is the corner office. You can find one where there's scattered papers all over the floors.
Huh.
Glitched monitors. Employee database. We've gotten... Huh. On some restarts, the phone on employee's 434's desk will be ringing. Yeah, so it literally just does this meant to confuse you sometimes. It also does that.
Stanley's bucket. The only co-worker he would ever truly need.
What was that?
I ran into the wall.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
The hallway normally like this?
No.
What is happening? Why?
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
I got, like, a hair trapped under my headset. It's bothering me. There we go.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
This again.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Ah, can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last?
It's a different video.
How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny."
I'm Dunny with the
practice
funny.
screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
That is beautiful.
God.
I'm Dunny with the funny. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, your
Why do you look
audience
like that?
has doubled over
Oh my gosh.
and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all.
Why do they look like
Just
that?
remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invader who threaten our very existence, and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause. Just
Hello?
What? I'm here.
Do you see this?
as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth...
Why are you so quiet?
I'm sitting here enjoying the game.
There. No, I literally could not hear you.
Reign
I can hear you
supreme.
now.
Sorry.
I can hear you now.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back. I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things.
What the hell was happening to him?
I don't know. And see, now this is normal.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No, what's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the 2 doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left.
And back at the door.
What? We're back at the phone already? No.
Is it just looping?
You
I
ready?
don't know.
When Stanley and the bucket came
I'll do it
to
one
a
more
set
time
of
if it
2
gives me the
open
exact same
doors,
line.
they
I'll
entered the door
go
on
the
the
other.
left.
I think it might be, though.
What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's...
Yeah, it's looping now.
Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
What?
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Let me try again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame.
Yeah.
How unabashedly in love with
How
a
long have we
bucket
been
you are.
recording?
No,
What?
still not...
How long have we been recording?
Pale with shame. Pale with shame.
For an hour.
Pale...
You want to call this the end of this part?
Stanley,
Once it
I
resets
said
back to the office. Yeah.
mental. I think I
Okay.
saw him playing guitar. No. Getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of it. I'm no good at these jokes. More instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos.
Okay, that'll be it then for this one.
See ya.